Okay, I'm recording everywhere. I'm recording here, there, and there. So it only took half an hour to
45 minutes to an hour. That's it.
The magic of podcast making. You know, we should just go audio, man.
You know, we enjoyed that, but we had so many people upset with us over it, you know?
Is it so many, or is it the one idiot?
I think it was 3 of them.
Yeah, no, and then we get all scared, and, you know... what I remember we did of an audio one, and Danny, one of our listeners, was like, I really enjoyed the PowerPoint presentation because we added slides, you know?
Yeah. She's so funny.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to the Moe and O photo show. This is a podcast about mostly photography between two friends. We've been friends for a long time, and we usually talk about once a month. We're so close.
Basically, you know. Well, we talk here once a month. This month we actually seen each other.
Yeah.
A couple times. So that was pretty cool.
That was cool. It was weird to see you because, like, I didn't know if I was going to hug you or, like, elbow touch.
Yeah,
or...
like when you know someone basically all your life and you can't touch them, it's weird. Well, first of all, we're men that aren't afraid to hug. That's the first thing.
For sure.
Right? There's a lot of men that hugging is only for men, women.
And if they
don't
do hug, it
else.
has to be, like, really hard and aggressive. Like, it's got to be
Oh, yeah, like that.
There's some kind of wrestling move involved.
Yeah, like, you see that suplex after that hug?
Yeah,
son?
suplex. That's right, the suplex hug. So, no, we don't have that. And I wanted to give you a hug, but it's weird. It's like we had masks on and...
Here's the thing. Because I love you so much and your family so much that I didn't want to hug you because even though I had just tested negative,
Me too.
I didn't want to give you anything. I didn't want to give you and your family anything, you know? That's when you love someone, when you're more worried about their family than getting your hug in.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I didn't care about giving you anything.
It's like, come get this.
You didn't see it. I licked your Coke while you weren't looking.
Good thing I don't drink Coke. The chef must be upset.
Yeah,
Oh, so before we
uh,
get started, let's talk about that.
say again?
No, nothing. Go ahead. You were saying?
Oh, I didn't hear what you said. Because you cut out. Stupid Skype, man.
I don't drink Coke. The chef must be upset. Oh, I hate Skype. Skype is the worst.
Yeah.
Nothing. So after that, after we got through the awkwardness of the hug, we were able to see each other, like twice in the last 7 days. We've seen each other twice, which is like a year's worth.
Yeah, it's strange to see people and not... the rituals we have. Well, you know, you and I just talked about hugging, but shaking hands with people it's just so commonplace. And think about the next few years, how strange, like when you do shake someone's hand or someone puts it out, it's so awkward now. It's going to be weird.
Yeah, like I you know, honestly, I haven't seen anyone stick a hand out for me yet, but I'm sure
No one will for a while, but I mean, there's going to be that transitional period where, like,
there's always going to be that guy, you know, Tony. Tony from the block. He's going to be like, "Hey, no, come on, shake my hand."
Come on, shake my hand. Yeah, but what we're going to talk about in this podcast is probably cameras, because the camera announcements have been free. First of all, it's a photography podcast, so we're going to talk cameras. But we also, I wanted to throw a question to you out there and to Mo, see what he says. But these cameras that were released, like, their prices were also released.
Yeah, they were.
You know? And,
goodness.
you know, if you read comments, people are like, you know, take my money. Some people are just like, take my money. But it's an interesting discussion because there's definitely the point of diminishing returns in anything you buy, from surfboards to blenders to cameras. And how much do you think that someone can get away with? What should someone spend on a camera? Like, how much makes sense?
Well, here's what I'm going to answer to that question. I think this goes to every form of technology: camera, car, cell phone.
Yeah.
You charge for a brand new type of tech as much as you want because it's not for everybody. It's for those who have the money. The first time anything comes out, it's for those in privileged situations. Because think about any brand new invention or twist to any kind of camera, phone. It's always been on a $1,200 phone, a $4,000 camera. The only exception to that rule is the action camera world, because they don't usually cost more than $400-$500, right? At the top
Yeah,
end.
because everyone's going to lose it. You know,
Exactly. So
you go down
and I'm talking
waterfall.
about, they usually come in with some like mind-bending IBIS, you know, so besides that, no one else gives you something brand new and awesome without you having to pay a come in first fee. And then as the technology becomes more prevalent, the price drops, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for the older stuff. Well, we're in a great time. Honestly, the best news about these new cameras coming out for $3,000 and $4,000 is the older stuff is cheaper.
Dropping like flies, those prices.
So right now, for example, the Fujifilm XT3 just dropped $500 out of nowhere. And why? I mean, the XT, it's like almost the flagship photography camera. Even though the XT4 is out, you know, there's people who don't love that flippy screen and think that it's too big. I'm talking about myself.
That's not what she said. Anyway,
okay. And the XT3 is a great camera, and it's a wonderful time to pick it up. I think you could get a great camera from something like $850, $800. We're talking cameras where you can shoot portraits, shoot a wedding, and maybe have a camera that's really, really great to make huge prints. Anything from $850 to $1,500 to just about $2,000. I think anything under $2,000, you could get away with doing everything.
I think, honestly, you're 100% correct, because if you don't like Sony, Fuji has a bunch of cameras in that price range that's going to do exactly what you need. Canon has a couple. The A7 III is still a camera to beat in a lot of ways.
It really is.
And it starts at
2017. It's down now, $1,799.
That's right. It's $1,799, and I'm sure you can get it used for $1,200.
And shoot weddings. And shoot weddings, man.
You shoot anything with the A7 III.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're a photographer, besides the sterile, perfect image that comes out of the A7 III, there is nothing you cannot do with the A7 III. The lens lineup is amazing. The actual camera itself is amazing. Battery life. It was the first camera to actually show you what battery life could be on a camera like that.
On a mirrorless.
Yeah.
So let's quickly talk about the cameras that were released. And I know people are sort of saying that Canon didn't cripple their cameras, but we're maybe going to discuss a little bit of how some of the cameras don't make sense for a lot of us, okay? So we'll start with the big boy, the R5. So what's the R5 got, buddy?
All right, so the R5, I'm not pulling up a cheat sheet of specs
all right,
now.
I have it in my head, okay? So the R5
well, here's
is
some of the key specifications, all right? Since you asked me, I'm going to tell you because I want to be cool. It has the 45 megapixel full frame.
Here, he's reading, though.
Pixel.
Like, I knew it without reading, you know?
Okay, Canon boy, shut your nose. It's got camera melting 8K video with
in the winter that comes in handy.
It does, you know, when it gets hot in the winter. Yeah, I mean cold in the winter, hot in the winter. It's got the 8K video. It's got 4K 120p oversampled.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool for videographers. 4K 120 is it's the first time, so that's cool.
It's got the 100% coverage of the dual pixel 2 AF system with human and animal detection, 12 frames per second and 12 frames per second burst mechanical / electronic shutter. It's got a 5 million dot EVF.
Ooh. So see, just to put that in perspective, the Sony A7 III has something like 2.7 million dots. It's not the best EVF. And something like the EOS R has 3.5 million dots or something. So they say that it's so crystal clear, we've reached the maximum that like you can even, it doesn't look like screen anymore. It looks like reality.
That's a lie. That's a lie. They can make more. They can make more.
I actually pre-ordered this camera twice. It's like such a flip-flop. Like the day one, I put my pre-order in because I wanted the next Canon, right? And then as I start to think about it, 45 megapixels for what I do is complete overkill. You know, the 24 megapixels I have on the A7 III are fantastic. The 24 megapixels I have on the Fujifilms is fine, is good enough. So 45 megapixels is just way too much to shoot events, you know?
Completely, way too much. It's like someone just said, give them all the megapixels.
Yeah,
take this.
Yeah,
be fruitful and multiply with it.
You know, what it means is if you shoot portraits, you have to do more skin retouch because the pores are way too sharp. So you're going to be working on sort of bringing back some of that The gooiness. That's number
Not
one.
only that, but I mean, I guess if you have the money to buy something at that cost, what's the cost on this one again?
This was
5?
almost $4,000. It's like $38.99 US. So
And-
$10,000 Canadian. Okay.
I mean, if you're not a great photographer, you're not making a lot of money, right? If you're not making a lot of money, you shouldn't buy this camera because you definitely need to also invest in a memory system. We already talked about this in the past.
That was the second thing I was going to say. So to explain the cards, they killed us.
The QFD cards. What is it?
They're CF Express.
Oh, is that the same thing that the Sony is using?
No,
the new Sony.
Sony came out with a great Sony did it right. They have.
All right, we'll get to that in a second.
All right, we'll get that in a second.
So then you talk about the memory card for the Canon.
So the Canon R5, they have a brand new memory slot. So it has 2 slots like we asked for, which is totally great. One is an SD card. Here's an SD card right here.
To my face.
And I have like 15 of these. Like I have all of these, and they cost like a good one costs $20. So Canon came out with a CF Express card, which is they had to do it because the camera shoots 8K, and so for the video features you actually need a faster card, and the cards though are like $800 to get cards that can actually record. So now you got to buy 2 or 3 of them. You're spending another 1,000 or 2 on memory.
So again, this is not your poor man's camera.
No.
I mean,
but is it a well-off man's camera too? Like at what point are you like, this doesn't really make sense?
You know what though? There's photographers out there that believe because it's out, it's new, they have to have it, and they have the budget for it. There's people that charge, $10,000 for a 2-hour event. I mean, and that's probably lowballing some of these people out there. So
yeah, listen, if I was a landscape calendar and fine art photographer, damn, a Canon 45 megapixels mirrorless. But the other thing is, it seems like batteries drain really quickly, so that doesn't seem great. And the overheating issue. If I was shooting an event and my camera is shutting itself off and won't let me shoot, damn, that's crazy, And
this goes back to, since you brought up the overheating thing, like, isn't there a quality department that tests to make sure that things work? I mean, don't they have like, hey, let's get 18 guys off the street, random dudes, and let them borrow this camera for a day or 2?
No, I think they knew. Again, this Canon has a cinema line, and they have a cinema line that has a cooling system in it because it has to handle these large, 8K and 4K and all this stuff. So all these cameras, like Red cameras and all these video cameras, they have a cooling system. What was strange was they didn't remodel the body here to sort of dissipate heat.
Better venting, yeah.
Yeah, so, that brings us to the R6. So the R6 is a 20 megapixel little brother of the R5. And the R6 looks like the camera on paper that makes complete sense because it's 20 megapixels. It has 2 SD card slots. It shoots 4K 60. 4K 60, that's crazy.
That's
and it's
cute.
And it's $2,400. So why would you get the R5 if you can get the R6? Well, anyone who wants to shoot 8K and man, I don't know, you want to spend more money?
You want those extra 2 million dots in the EVF. That's it too.
Yeah.
Because they both have the 10-bit HDR recording, so you're not limiting yourself too much besides losing the 8K.
Here's my question. I don't know. Who's using these cameras and what are they using them for? When I think video, I think working videographers, event photographers, people shooting weddings, are people that are making films using this, professional films. Sure, you could use them. But if they're overheating, they're not looking here. They're looking at a C200, Like if you were a videographer, right, shooting a wedding in the heat, you're sort of laughing at these cameras. Aren't you laughing at these cameras?
I'm giggling like a girl, actually.
So it's strange, like the video features and everyone talking about the video. Who's making movies? Is this for vlogging? Come on, like any serious filmmaker or anyone shooting professional video needs a camera that can't overheat. I'm sorry.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Does the A7 III have a recording limit though? Going that far back, it has a 30-minute their time limit? Was it the 864, the first one without a time limit?
Are you
right?
talking about the A7S3, the new one, or
No,
our
no.
camera, the A7 III?
Our camera
has a record limit
of 30 minutes.
of 30 minutes. So just
We
keep
have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, Moe is recording on his A7 III. I'm recording. Man, this camera right here, this A6400 is just a great little camera, man, to shoot video.
It's great to shoot photos too. I love taking it on the street when I had it on with the Batis 25 millimeter. Oh, that was awesome.
I took it out once. It was a little weird. It's like such a strange little weird feeling ugly camera
box.
Yeah.
You know, no one's saying, "Oh, that's a cool looking camera." Never, ever, ever.
Maybe that's a good thing if you're in a rough neighborhood. Walk around with this ugly thing. Yo, I don't want that.
I mean, you just whip out a Fuji, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a nice camera." Excuse me while I whip this out.
Oh gosh.
Have they come up with a solution to this overheating? I've been seeing people posting updates videos to.
You know what the solution is going to be? They're going to put a firmware update to turn off the little warning.
Doesn't it just turn off now?
The
is it just a
camera will
warning?
shut off. Yeah, the camera will stop.
Because you can imagine if we shoot 4K, how hot our cameras get. Imagine how hot that 8K is getting.
Yeah, and forget video. Who was it? I think. Who was it? I think it was the Northrops. Were shooting photos of birds for about an hour, and then they tried to shoot video, and it wouldn't let. It only gave them 2 minutes of video.
It's like, no. Look. I know what you want to do.
I'm tired.
Come in, sit down, have some sandwiches.
It's so hot. It's hot.
You know it's July, right?
Yeah, it's hot and bothered, that camera.
Oh my goodness.
And
I wanted to love that camera. I wanted you to get it. I wanted to love it. I wanted to touch it.
Yeah, I had two of my friends text me and say, "Yo, you pre-ordered that camera?" Because they want to hold it and touch it. And like I said, I canceled it twice based on the overheating warnings. I was like, let me calm down, because this camera, the A7 III, you and I have been talking lately about how it's a jack of all trades, and the only thing that annoys us about it is the files are a little too sterile. They're a little too sharp. They're a little too digitally,
Perfect.
Right?
They're too perfect.
Isn't that weird? They're too perfect.
It is 100% weird, because when you had the D800, when I had the D800, D850, my whole thing was like, I cannot wait to be able to have a camera that will just give me the perfect image. And then when you get the perfect image, you realize it's sort of like cold. It's not. You have to put your own life into it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what videographers do is they add a LUT and grain and this and that to sort of soften up these images, make them look like film. But if you're a photographer taking the files right out of the camera, they're a little sterile. So we've been struggling a little bit. I have been working on all my presets to add a little bit of grain, a little bit of a curve to make it look more filmy. And I'm getting close with colors and look. But that's one of the issues with Sony is they've come up with the formula how to come up with a perfect image. And they don't have that Nikon and Canon feel to the images. I know that sounds weird, but those...
No, that's perfect. That's perfect, because I remember when you shot with your Mark 4. I used to always think Canon Mark 5.
Okay,
Mark
not
D.
my Iron Man suit.
Yeah, like... So you shot with that. I would look at a photo and tell right away that's an Omar photo. That's him using his Canon.
Yeah. I don't know if I can pick out Sony files in a lineup, but when you think about Sony portrait files, if you look up A7 III, it's like that style, like super clean urban look, super clean skin, super sharp, very, very, very clean. And if you look at Fuji stuff or even Canon stuff, it's got a little bit more organic feel to the photograph.
It's lived in. Yeah. It's like a pair of socks. You're like,
that's
why
nice. That's why we like Acros, because it's got the bright darks, but they also add some grain to it. They actually have a little bit of a film simulation grain to it.
So if you're not going to get the R5 because of everything that's going on, are you looking at the R6, or have you crossed that one off too?
Only if it doesn't overheat. The R6 is perfect for what I do, which is I take 3,000 images in a day. From the morning to night party, I take about 3,000, almost 4,000 images. and then go through all those images, send them through a hard drive, get rid of the rejects. But 20 megapixels is enough for event and enough for clients. I actually don't need to downsize the images. I can actually deliver them full res because they're about 5,300 megapixels. The issue I have is 30 megapixels and 24 work great if you want to punch in a bit. I feel like 20, if someone's head is kind of like a little bit on the sensor, you're really not going to get such a great crop. So sometimes if something's happening a little bit far away in an event, you have to crop, but what are you going to do?
Good point.
So I think it's perfect, except if it overheats from using it all day taking photos. That's a big no-no right there.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So that's a bad idea. Let me take 3 pictures and then film. No,
oh
you
my
can't do
God.
that.
That's terrible. Hello, loyal listeners. Be sure to tune in to part 2. There really shouldn't be a part 2. It's just Moe didn't send me the second half of his video. Anyway, be sure to tune in to part 2 where we discuss the Sony A7S III. All right, see you guys.